Welcome to Comfort Habit number 2. This is part 2 of why I left this Facebook group. I did not reveal the name of the Facebook group, and I'm not going to, because y'all know how I roll. I don't give anybody bad credit if I can help it. And yeah, my feelings were hurt. If you watch video 1, you'll understand that there was a big fight with me and a guy whose name was William. My last name is Williams, his first name is William. And Mr. William, I tried to be respectful to him, and I told him, I'm just going to lead the group until y'all done talking about politics. Knock yourself out. And I had left, I left. I respectfully left. I got friends in that group that I love very well. But to prevent problems, because sometimes you get kicked out of these groups even when you're not trying. Like the groups you're trying to stay in, you may slip, say something unbecoming, and get kicked out. I'm guilty of that. I've been kicked out of groups that I really wanted to be in. And then I've been kicked out of groups because of racial stuff. And then he said the one thing that was not true in my book. Y'all still may not see the fact that our president, until 20th of January, is a bloody racist. So in the other video, I showed you everything that I believe to be racist. To be racist statements. And yes, you just see me pull a wedgie out. After all, I have on new underwear now. These are starting to cooperate a little less. Anyway, bottom line, I don't have a problem with racist people as long as I know that they're racist. Because I'm racist to racist people. In the group, the discussion was really quite simple. The dude was talking bad about Biden and praising Trump. But yet everything that he was saying good about Trump, which was good about Trump for you people who follow Trump. But it wasn't good about people like me, who Trump has pretty much said, we don't really give a damn about you. Native Americans not having casinos. I've been called cheap for 3 years of my life back to back, and I pointed that out in the other video. See, if you're not mixed, or if you're not a person of a different ethnicity, in other words, if you're a white person, you don't actually get it. Because most white people aren't really racist to other white people. They might be classified, in other words, I'm rich, you're not, my class is up here, yours is down here. This is the racism that white people face amongst themselves. But they don't face racism. They face classism, which means high class, middle class, working class, low class, piss fucking poor, which is where black people pretty much are. There are working class and middle class black people, and there are some Oprahs up here. But y'all don't get the racism from each other that we get from every other race. Now, blacks aren't the only targets. Whites are also targeted by racism. There are many of rich black people who talk down on white people. Let's play that shit right. There are many of rich Asian people who talk bad on whites and blacks. And it's all the way around. It's a vicious circle that never ends because no one wants to take a knee and no one wants to acknowledge it and no one wants to say, I'm sorry. It is true. No one wants to say, yes, I am a racist. I hate Asians. I hate blacks. I hate whites. No one says that. But they don't know why they hate these people. They just hate them because they have nothing better to do. I don't go and get to know black people, so I hate black people. I don't go and get to know Asian people, so I hate Asian people. I don't know why I hate white people. I don't get to know them, so I hate them. No one wants to take the time to go out and know these people. Now, as far as William is concerned, I don't know that dude from Adam and Eve, but I had to leave the group. Because unlike superheroes, I don't have the ability to reach through the screen and choke the shit out of the dude. And I would have, because of the things that he did not agree with me on. So we're going to put the blame solely on me. I'm going to own the blame. Because in my heart of heart, I'm sorry, Mr. William, our sitting president is a bloody fucking racist. If you watch my other videos, I pointed that shit out to what I believe is racist. Now, the rest of you, and he's also sexist, but the rest of you, if you aren't in that minute bit of people that I play these videos for, that are black, who understand how he won't even apologize now to the Central Park Five, who were black, who were accused of raping a white lady, who got proven innocent by DNA, and you can't man up and say, I'm sorry. But to Mr. William, that doesn't make Donald Trump a racist. My personal favorite, because I have Chinese and other Asian friends, is the Kung Flu virus. The Chinese virus. And then I guess no one pays attention to the uprise of crime that has been happening to Asian people since that shit started. Fuck the fact that we now call it the coronavirus, but he's never called it that. He's called it the Chinese virus or Kung Flu. I've had Asian friends that I have to worry about when I go to sleep because I'm scared that the ones that live in New York or the ones that live in California may be attacked by somebody who looks like me. A black man who doesn't like Asians or Chinese people and just say, hey, I'm gonna beat this motherfucker up regardless of if he's Chinese, Japanese, or Korean, or Vietnamese, or Filipino. He's Asian, so I'm gonna fuck him up because I don't know the difference. I'm just gonna fuck him up. But I guess Mr. William doesn't see that as racist. I guess he didn't see the time where the big black guy was going after the little Chinese guy who was just collecting cans. That was a day that I posted a video that made me ashamed to be black. I guess he didn't see the black guy attack the Chinese girl in the subway, try to throw his milkshake on him, or her, excuse me, in her little yellow jacket. But that was another day that I was ashamed to be black. I guess he didn't see the video where the white dude chased the Chinese lady who was like 90 years old with fucking Lysol and spraying an old lady. But I guess he didn't see that. Oh, I'm sorry, that guy and everybody else who doesn't think that that shit's racist. That shit wouldn't have happened if our president wouldn't have said Chinese virus, Kung Flu. And I guess they didn't know about the lady most recently in New York who was Asian, who was beaten up because she was Asian on the bus. As she was getting off the bus, 4 young black girls decided to attack her, and this was another lady over the age of 50. They didn't have nothing, they didn't take any money, they just threw her an ass whooping. Because I guess they thought that they were going to get the Kung Flu from her, or the Chinese virus. But they beat her pretty badly, which again was another day that I posted a video and said, this makes me ashamed to be black. Not too long after that, I posted a video of fucking 17 black people jumping a black girl, which again makes me ashamed to be black. And they took her fucking shoes. Can't blame that one on the president though, because that was just black people being dumb and not realizing there's cameras everywhere. Apparently she bit off more than she can chew talking to some girl, and she beat the girl up, and then 17 of her friends decided, well, let's go beat this broad's ass. Black on black crime. No, first racism. Happens, I know, I was a victim of that shit. Just never had my ass beat for it. Because I know Kung Fu. My most favorite is that all of a sudden in the news, fuck ton of Asians started buying a fuck ton of guns. Men and women alike. People who would never go buy a gun. But guns went up. The Asian community just like armed up against blacks and whites who were trying to beat them for the Kung Flu virus or the Chinese virus, which came out of our leader until January 20th of 2021 said this shit. But I guess Mr. William doesn't count that as racist. Oh yeah, he's not Chinese. Neither am I. But I know a racist when I hear a racist or when I see a racist statement. Because you can make a racist statement. It could be an accident. You don't have to be a racist because you made a racist statement. That part's true. But if you keep making racist statements, how many more racist statements do you have to make before someone actually says, yeah, this motherfucker's a racist? Let's spin it back to the Central Park 5 really quickly, as I showed you guys videos of The View, as I showed you guys video of the Young Turks. They didn't say anything about Central Park 5, but you can go watch the video. He said he didn't really care about the black community, and then backtracked. Omarosa, who was fired by Trump, acknowledged that he did not like black people. But a fuck ton of black people showed up at these Trump rallies. I did a video about a kid, and this is what pissed me off the most. You do not put your kid in your political affiliation. You do not put your kid in danger from other kids, because I know how cruel kids are. Because before we found out that I was part Native American, the black kids didn't want me because I was part white. So the white kids didn't want me because I was part black. Yeah, I was the Oreo cookie at school. Until we found out that I was a box of Supreme Oreos when we found out that I was part Native American. Which is really what explained my look, which is why kids couldn't tell what the hell I was. And this continued on with me from grade school to college, of being ripped apart by people of whites, blacks, and Asians. But when I say Asians, I mean Native Americans. Because most other Asians, I've never had a problem with a Chinese person. I've never had a problem with a Korean. I've never had a problem with a Japanese person. I've never had a problem with a Malaysian, an Indonesian, a Tahitian, a Samoan. Never had a problem with them. Native Americans, 2 incidences. You can't mess with this pretty girl because you're not pure blood. And the other one was, you're one of us, but you're not really one of us. It's pretty much how that rolled out. No. But whites, maybe about 5 incidences. Maybe 7. Maybe I'm cutting it down a whole lot, but there were a lot of incidences. But not as much as there was with blacks. So if anybody knows anything about racism, it's the victims of it. And if you've never been the victim of a racist attack, whether it's physical or verbal or mental, then you don't know when you hear a racist statement. You don't know when you say a racist statement, because most people are too afraid to say, hey man, that's fucking offensive. When I was 16, and I told you this before in the other video and in the prep video and many other videos you'll find, when I was 16 years old, when I was working at Kevlar's, this one white dude who would come to work Friday, Saturday, Sunday, hey chief. This probably won't stick to my clothes, and it's only my last name. Yep, won't stick to my clothes. What's it say? It says Williams. It was a metal pen, plastic, went through your chest, stuck right here. And every day that I had to deal with this man at 16. Hey chief, what's up chief? How you doing chief? Mondays never came fast enough. But when Friday, Saturday, and Sunday came, I had to go to work because I needed money. I had to pay for my car. I also had to pay a price to pay for my car. The racial insult of a man calling me chief every Friday, Saturday, Sunday for 3 fucking years. But I guess you wouldn't know how that feels because it's not you. Now granted, movie Renegades came out with Lou Diamond Phillips playing a Native American. And every time somebody called him chief, he fucked people up. I wanted to fuck this dude up. But then I thought about it. Maybe he's going through something because of the music that he plays. And the best way to learn something about someone is to listen to the music they listen to. He played these songs. Chattahoochee was like Once in a Blue Moon from Alan Jackson. But Billy Ray Cyrus and Garth Brooks, don't break my heart, my achy, breaky heart. I just don't think you'll understand. That was one. The thunder rolls and the lightning strikes, but most of all, the thunder rolls. And then he would play, as I took his glass of champagne, and I threw it in his face, but you'll never hear me complain. 'Cause I got friends in low places, gonna go on down to the oasis. 'Cause I got friends in low places. Well, I don't know what this dude was going through, but I know when I went to work on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m., those songs played the entire time. It's like he parked his ass by the jukebox and only played those songs. Now, sometimes he would play Chattahoochee on like Friday when the place is about to close. So about like 11:30, 12 o'clock. Way down yonder on the Chattahoochee, I'm going down to do the hoochie coochie. I don't know if that's all the actually words to the song. I'm sorry, Alan Jackson. I am not a country fan. But for this dude to call a 16-year-old kid from the age of 16 to 19 chief, and no matter how many times I begged and I plead for this guy to call me by my name, not once in my entire tour of working at Kegler's did this motherfucker ever think to call me James. He called me chief on purpose. Does that make him a racist? No. It makes him a person who didn't understand how offensive calling me chief was. So maybe you don't think your president is racist. I'll give you that. But you can't say that the motherfucker's not offensive when he's going out and telling Asian reporters to go ask China. I'm going to close that Central Park 5 thing, and I'm not going to be man enough to say, I'm sorry. You don't have to agree with me. I will respect you for following this man. But I will question your moral compass. And again, you can question mine. I didn't vote for Biden because I wanted to. I voted for Biden because I refuse to give a vote to a red-headed troll who's a racist, who refused to apologize to 5 black kids that he wanted dead, who refused to apologize to a Chinese reporter and tells her to go ask China, who told Native Americans back in 1993 that you should pay higher taxes on your casinos even though we took this country from them. Then later, as candidate Trump runs down into some Native American stuff and they say, what are you going to do about Standing Rock if you get in? And he goes to their face and lies to them, when I become the president, Standing Rock will not have a problem. I have no business ties with Standing Rock. Yep. I can't find that video. But I watched it live. And then, the ex-president, who he believes was not born in America, signs a decree of protection, protecting Standing Rock as his last permanent action as the President of the United States. Day one, Trump gets in. And yes, that's a wedgie I just pulled out again. Standing Rock Pipeline, you're going through Standing Rock. This man has had a problem with Native Americans for a very long time. A very, very long time. And being that I'm part Cherokee and I feel the Cherokee fire burning from within, I'm going to make a stand against that. This is how racism works. Racism works when you're the victim, when you are being chewed out because of the one thing in the universe that you can't help. Your skin tone, your birthrights, the fact that you are born mixed, the fact that you are Native American, or black, or white, or any other Asian ethnicity that he hasn't reached yet. Chinese lady, they asked him why he'd ask her that. And he abruptly went to the lady behind her, who swiftly defended her colleague and said, I want my colleague to finish. So then he disses both of the women, and you women voted for this guy. Kind of want to question your morals. I'm sorry if I have offended anybody. Thank you for watching, because I can go about this all night for another 40 minutes, but I got videos to make for children now. Thanks for watching. This is an honest channel. Alright? Let me break that right. It might be a little biased when it comes to Trump, but this is an honest channel, and I do not like that dude. You don't have to agree with me, but try to understand where I'm coming from, because again, let's bring it on around. Again, if you have never been the victim of a racist attack, if you haven't had your grandparents tell you a story about knowing that you have to be careful going outside when you're black because a 14-year-old kid whistled at a white lady and got the fuck beat out of him, and the people got away with it, and no one's busted the people who killed Emmett Till, which goes with our next video will be about Quan Charles. But, if you haven't been around people who could tell you, back in our day, people rode around with hoods on their heads, threatening people because we were black. Now, I don't know if the KKK ever went after Asians. I know neo-Nazis went after everybody. Neo-Nazis were far worse than the KKK. Because they even went after white people. But when it came down to Asians, we don't know if the KKK or the neo-Nazis solely targeted them, but neo-Nazis targeted everybody. They didn't really fuck with black people like talking about it, but they damn sure fucked with white people. Especially if you weren't blonde hair and blue-eyed. I don't know if they took with Asians, but I know the KKK targeted blacks till the Black Panther movement came on. So if you're white and you're not racist, good for you. I have white people in my family that ain't racist, and I love them and I miss them. Hell them, they're in Richmond. I know white people that aren't racist that would agree with me in these two videos. They could still support Trump, and we'll have a moral compass difference, but we could still be friends. Apparently, William doesn't know enough black people or enough Asian people, even though he's flirting with a bunch of fucking Filipino women. And these Filipino women don't understand how much danger they would be in if a racist black person or a racist white person decided that we don't know that they're Filipino. We just know you're Asian. And because of the Kung Flu or the Chinese virus, and we not physically aware that there's more than one Asian country, we're just going to whoop your ass. And beat you to death because we're afraid. I have a girl in my class that's Asian today who once told us that she went somewhere and she was in fear of her life because of racist people glaring at her because she's Asian. She's not even Chinese. So when you think about stuff like that, when you have to worry about your classmates getting attacked because they're Asian, because of racist ass motherfuckers who believe that the president is correct, the Chinese virus and the Kung Flu. But he forgot the fact that there are some people who don't know the difference between Chinese, Japanese, Koreans, and other Asians, and just decide, hey, fuck it, I'm just going to beat the fuck out of everybody whose eyes are slightly slanted. Mine slant when I smile, because Native Americans are also Asian. I pity you all who don't see this. But I can't change your mind. And I pray that you never meet a victim of racism. And I pray that you are never a victim of racism. Because see, like I said, if you're not a victim of racism, if you've never been a victim of racism, if you don't know anybody who is a victim of racism, then you have no idea that this asshat that you follow and believe so strongly has gotten them into so much trouble. So if you want to vote for Trump, hey, I can respect your vote. I can respect you. But I will question your moral compass. And if you don't like that, that's fine. You will question my moral compass because apparently you think that it's okay for our president to call out Elizabeth Warren in front of Navajo soldiers and call her Pocahontas. Because Pocahontas was Powhatan and they're Navajo, so it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't offend them because they're Navajo. Wrong. To insult one Native American tribe is to insult all Native American tribes, whether you like them or not, whether you are a part of them or not. Native Americans have a strong course of adaptation. It's what they've done. It's how they've lived. And most of the time, it wasn't by choice. So think about that when you're shunning me for this video. Think about that. Think about 16-year-old James who didn't have an outlet when the white man that played all the sorry-ass, sad-ass music because he was going through some shit wouldn't respect me enough to call me by my name, but called me by what he assumed that I was because I'm multicultural. So he doesn't see a black man. He doesn't see a white man. He sees a chief. My ancestors weren't chiefs. If anything, they might have been scouts. They damn sure weren't carvers. We learned that the hard way, didn't we, Miss Conrad? Or better yet, I learned it the hard way with all the ass whoopings I got for all the soap that I carved up for Miss Conrad's class. But in closing, I will say this. If we all take a knee to racism's face, we may learn something. There's a few things on earth that you can't change, and it's by design. You don't come from heaven and say, hey, Great Spirit, hey, God, hey, Buddha, hey, Jehovah, and say, I want to be a rich white man, or I want to be a wealthy white woman. You don't get that option. You don't say, hey God, I want to be an Asian woman or an Asian man. I want to be a black man, badass. I want to be a black woman, bold, strong, sassy. You don't get that option. You don't get to pick a rich family, a wealthy family, a poor family. The hand you are dealt by the good Lord is what you get. And you have to live with it. If you want better, you got to fight for it. But fight with honor and respect. Don't be racist in the process. Ask somebody who's been a victim of racism. I'm sure there have been some white people who have been victims of racism by Asians and white people. What the fuck you think Guy Jin and Guai Lo is when someone calls you that? It's not. That's a happy-go-lucky thing. No, it's the same thing as when a Native American calls a white man a pale face. It is still a racist statement, which goes back to what I just said. There's racism in every ethnicity on this planet. And we can't weed them all out. But when you recognize them, when you see something, you should probably say something. And I made a lot of racist statements tonight. And I apologize to blacks, whites, and Asians. But I am all of you in one body. As Native Americans, they're biologically Asian. I might not be Chinese, but I can fight like the Chinese because I know Kung Fu. I might not be Japanese, but I did take Japanese karate first. I might not be Korean, but I did take Kempo, Japanese and Korean. So yeah, I got some things I can relate to them on. One of my best friends was Korean. He drew pictures for me for a TV series that never took off. But he's the one that taught me about my Native American heritage. I lost a bet. He also liked my martial arts, and he's the son of a preacher. Does that make him a saint? No. But it makes him my friend and my brother. If you haven't been the victim of a racist attack, you've been blessed. But why don't you ask us who have been? It's an uncomfortable subject to talk about. But it's better to know than to not know. And it's better to know now than to wind up on your ass for saying the wrong thing. Let me hurry up and get to the end of this thing. In my 20s, I had people who were afraid to ask me what I was mixed with. And you could hear them like they'd be right here at these two suits behind me. Hey, you know that guy? No. He's cute. Yeah, you want to go talk to him? No. I don't know what he is. When you can hear that, what do? You do what I do. Y'all want to ask me something? And they were like, what? I was like, well, I heard you. So here is what I'm mixed with. I am black, I am white, and I am Cherokee Indian. Anything else you want to know? I'm also single. And then that's like the icebreaker and the killer of any chance that I had right there. The second I said I was single was like, yeah. And if it wasn't that, it was, I also do martial arts. That was it. Those were the ground killers because at the time, I had a ponytail, and Steven Seagal did too. And he was beating his wife allegedly. So yeah, I've had people ask me what I'm mixed with. And I don't think that's offensive. I think that if you're curious and you want to know, you have the right to ask. It's just how you go about it. Like, hey, can I ask you something if it's okay with you? Or, please, can I ask you something and I don't want to offend you? It's the way you approach people. Not, hey, you, what are you mixed with? Or, hey, half-breed, because, yeah, I got those a lot, too. Kindergarten to college. Please take care of yourselves. Please be aware. Sometimes you can say a racist statement and not be racist. That's a fact. But again, as I said earlier in this video, how many racist statements can you make before people realize you are actually a bloody racist? Thanks for watching. And to YouTube, this is not supposed to be hate speech. This is supposed to be honest speech. So please let the video show. If not, at least let the PSA for the kids show. Be seeing you.